Well, welcome to Tuesday's Language Arts instruction video. We have a lot to cover today, and I also will be reading you this week's story, which I think you'll really enjoy. So let's get the show on the road. Okay, boys and girls, let's name the 5 vowels that we've been talking about over the last few weeks together. Good old A, E, I, O, and U. This week, if you recall, we are going to be focusing on the long A sound and the long I sound. And when it's a long vowel sound, they make the sound of their own letter. They say their own name. Long A sounds like the beginning of acorn. Acorn begins with the long A sound. It says A. Ice cream begins with the long I sound. Ice begins with the I sound. And we've learned this week that that good old sneaky silent E really can help the vowel say its own name. We learned yesterday we can take the word tap. Tap has a short A sound, but you add that silent E and it makes the vowel, which is one consonant hop away, say its own name. Remember, we have a vowel, consonant, silent E pattern. All right, let's practice blending some of these. Okay, so we have T, A. I know this says the long A sound because that silent E is one consonant hop away from the vowel. T, ape, tape. And again, I see that silent E, one consonant hop away, I've, 5. Ice, soft C sound. Nice, nice job, guys. All right, we're going to be revisiting verbs now. We know that a verb is a word that names an action, like in running. Verbs can also be words such as is, was, are, were, being, will be. Okay, but this week we're going to be focusing on action words. A verb is a word that shows action. Verbs can be in past, present, and future tense. And you're probably thinking, what on earth is Mrs. Curry talking about? Past, present, and future tense. Let me try to explain. Past tense. Past tense shows that the action has already happened. An ed is usually added to the end of a verb to show past tense or that the action happened. For example, I walked home yesterday. Walk is the action. The ed added to the end of the base word walk shows the action happened in the past. It could happen a second ago, a minute ago, an hour ago, days ago, weeks ago, months ago. I cleaned my room last week. The ed was added to the verb clean to show that the action has already taken place. Now, boys and girls, in these sentences, we can also see that there's clue words that the action has already happened. We see in this sentence, yesterday. Yesterday is a word that happened the day before today. So we know that that action happened already. Then we can see in the second sentence, I cleaned my room last week. Last week are the clue words that show the action has already happened. So be on the lookout for words like that to help you know that the action has already happened and that you might have to add an ed to the verb in the sentence. Present tense. Present tense shows that the action is happening right now. Sometimes an ing is added to the end of a verb to show present tense. Here we have the sentence, I am walking home today. The ing was added to the base word walk to show the action is happening now. And we have the sentence, I am cleaning my room right now. The ing was used to add to the verb to show the action is happening now. You might also notice we have words in these sentences such as today or right now, and those are clue words that give the reader an idea of when the action is happening. And finally, we have future tense. Ooh, I'm looking into the future. Future tense shows that the action hasn't happened yet, but it will in the future. Usually the words will or shall come right before the verb to show the action will happen in the future. We can see that in these sentences here. I will walk home tomorrow. I shall clean my room later. Again, there's also clue words in these sentences to show the action hasn't happened yet, but it will take place in the future. Words like tomorrow or later. Okay, now let's talk about the seat work you're going to be doing today. Okay, on the first page, which is page 27, you're going to be practicing the long A sound and the long I sound in words. And to do that, you're going to read the words in the word bank, and then you're going to complete each sentence with one of the words from the word bank. You'll be using all of the words in the word bank. Now, boys and girls, remember, you need to reread your sentences to make sure the word you chose makes sense in the sentence. Make sure to spell your words correctly because I will be checking this. Make sure you take a picture of your work and send it on to me. You'll also be doing this page, which is where you'll be practicing your past tense or present tense in words. Okay, so you're going to be paying attention to whether you're going to add an ed to the base verb. Remember, we add an ed to show the action has already happened. We add an ing to the end of a verb to tell about an action that is happening now or might happen in the future. Now, boys and girls, pay attention to those clue words in the sentences to tell you when the action happened. Okay, choose the best word that completes a sentence. Now, we can see in the first sentence, last week, I blanked the ball into the goal. Are there any clues that are going to tell you which verb to use and which ending? I see the words last week. You're going to circle these words because they're clues that tell you what type of ending to add to your verb. Last week says that action already happened. So I know when the action has already happened, you need to add ed to the base word kick. So kicked with the ed is the word you will circle. And you will do this with each one of these sentences. Circle any clue words that might help you figure out when the action is happening. Okay, then circle the words in the sentence that you will be using. Remember to reread your sentence after you've chosen your word to make sure it makes sense. Take a picture of your work and send it on to me. All right, boys and girls, before I read you the story, Picture Day Perfection, I want to go quickly over the vocabulary words that are going to be showing up in the story. We learned some of these words yesterday, but I like to go over them again. You had the word planned, which means you decide ahead of time how you would like to do something. Teachers do a lot of planning with their lessons. Perfect. This word describes all of my amazing students. When something is perfect, it is the best it can be. Hamper. Remember we learned about this yesterday? Sort of like a laundry basket. A hamper is a basket to hold dirty clothes. Disaster. Oh, my stars. Poor puppy. I think he might be in trouble. A disaster is an event that goes horribly wrong. Scowl. A scowl is an angry frown. Mood. What kind of a mood are you in today? Your mood is the way you are feeling. And based on some of your check-ins, I would say you're in the green smiley face area today. Queasy. I'm not in a good mood when I feel queasy. Queasy means you're sick to your stomach, your belly aches. Fiddled. If you fiddle with something, you keep touching it or playing with it. I have a habit of doing that with pens and pencils. I just kind of can't keep them still.
Hi, boys and girls. It's time for the read aloud portion of our lesson today, where we're going to be reading this week's story, Picture Day Perfection. Now, this is a realistic fiction, which means that the story itself didn't really happen, but the possibility of it happening in real life, it's there. It could really happen. The characters in the story act like you and I might. The things that happen in the story could really happen in real life. So let's get started. Picture Day Perfection. And it starts on page 86 in your reading book number 1 if you'd like to follow along. September. I planned for months that this was going to be the year of the perfect school picture, but some days not everything goes according to plan. The day started with the worst case of bedhead ever. Exhibit A, front view. Exhibit B, side view. Oh my stars. Exhibit C, the back view. Exhibit D, the look on my brother's face when he saw my hair. Cracking up at his brother, isn't he? Then it took me quite some time to unearth my favorite shirt. I finally found it at the very bottom of the hamper. You might call it stained. You might call it wrinkled. You might even call it smelly, and you wouldn't be wrong. Breakfast was Picture Day pancakes, a family tradition. This year's festivities involved a small syrup disaster. More accurately described as a large syrup disaster, and it occurred exactly as the bus pulled up. I had a feeling we'd be getting a new family tradition. Woo-wee, what a mess. On the bus, I got into a small bit of trouble. Make that a large bit of trouble. The bus driver made me sit in the seat right behind him for the rest of the ride. By the time I got into school, my picture day face was fixed in a scowl. Well, we all have days like this, don't we, boys and girls? In class, Mrs. Smith collected our photo order forms. Do you think my mom checked emerald green for my photo background, or peacock blue, or pizzazzy purple? No. Once again, of all the backgrounds in the world, Mom checked snoring, boring, traditional gray. No one gets traditional gray. You can see the background right there, down here. Except for me. And it just so happens to be the only color in the world that makes my favorite shirt disappear. All but the stains and wrinkles. After that, the teacher had us all stand up and practice our picture day smiles. Personally, I thought we needed a little something to get us in the picture day mood. Whoops, got myself into trouble. Again, he's making a silly face, isn't he? Luckily, I got to rejoin the class in time for art. Art involved quite a lot of paint, or at least it did. For me, he's going crazy with that paint. Finally, it was time to line up for our photos. Ned, just in front of me, got the last complimentary plastic comb. I watched as classmate after classmate smiled for the camera. I got queasy listening to everybody say, cheese. I can't stand cheese. The mere thought of it turns me green, deeply green. And just as my face reached its most awful pea-green shade, it was my turn. I stepped forward. I sat down on the stool. It was hard as a rock and as cold as an iceberg. Just a sec, said the photographer as he fiddled with the camera knobs. As I sat and waited, everything that had happened rushed through my mind. The monstrous messes, the muddles and the mix-ups. The whole day from the moment I rolled out of bed had gone perfectly. Even better than planned. This year I was finally going to have the perfect school picture. Well, that little devil, he had planned all these crazy things right from the start. And that's when I heard a click. In a flash, all of my hard work, my perfectly tangled hair, my perfectly rumpled shirt, my perfectly sticky face, my perfectly composed scowl, that perfect boring background, those perfect paint splatters, that perfect sickly pallor, wasted, useless, ruined. In a moment of weakness, by an unexpected smile, Mom says it's my best picture ever. Oh, he wanted to have a silly looking picture, but he didn't get that, did he, boys and girls? But just wait till she sees next year's. Oh, he's a little devil, isn't he? That main character who told the story. I wasn't expecting that, were you? I was not expecting that all that had happened on purpose so he would try to get the silliest picture he could. I enjoyed that story, boys and girls, and try to reread it when you have a chance. I think